Welcome. You're listening to Underlying Pigment, a hairdresser podcast. My name is Rob Jernigan, and I'm sitting down with individuals from all areas of the salon industry to talk about their processes, the lessons they have learned, and how they try to make an impact. My goal is to bring together stylists, along with current and possible future salon owners, to learn from each other, help each other grow, share their love, their struggles, and personal insights of the industry. Hope you enjoy. Today I'm sitting down with Maxine Lyvers, owner of Arrow Salon and Spa in Pensacola and Arrow Downtown in Pensacola, and educator for Professional by Fama. So how are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining me. We are recording here. It's a Saturday. We just did a roundtable for the COVID-19 here at your downtown location. So I appreciate you hosting that here for us. And I'll have some information posted on my Instagram and all that stuff about that later on. So they'll see that and know what we're talking about. But I want to talk to you today about you and everything that you've been doing within the industry, things you've gone through, experiences, whatever you want to talk about that you think would be helpful for other hairdressers out there, hairdressers who maybe want to go into ownership, all that stuff. Kind of maybe talk about your story of how you came to be. You didn't always own two spots, and I was with you when you opened the second location.
Yes.
On the sales rep side, and that was exciting. So I know it was exciting for me. I know it was very exciting for you. Just tell me and the listener a little bit about yourself.
Oh, let's see. I went to very, very smaller end beauty school. Didn't cost that much. Mm-hmm. Less than $5,000. Good beauty school. I got a deal, right?
Nice, yeah. I'm almost paid off on my student loans for like $20-something thousand.
And the whole time while I was in beauty school, I asked why. Why I asked so much is because growing up, I was never allowed to get my hair done. And when I was 18, I went to LA and I got to be a model for my hair and do a video for Vidal Sassoon. And those people were the coolest people ever. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm just like, I want to be them. Well, then I came back to Florida, Alabama area, and I was like, I am not going to beauty school. I am not doing roller sets because it was not like it was out there in LA and everything. And it took me a really long time to finally I went back to beauty school, you know, because I was just working jobs and trying to figure out myself because I did not want to do just what I saw all around, you know, roller sets and things like that. Mm-hmm. And then, you know, I had a whole other career, everything, and that job kind of changed. And a lot of my friends were going to hair school or did hair. And I was like, I'm going to do that. And I originally had started because that job I had was in Georgia. And at the time I was just like, I'm not a Georgia resident. I don't want to be a Georgia resident. I'm going back to Florida. And when I came back, I went to beauty school. And so I was older. I was 27 years old. And I went back to beauty school and I had done hair on the side. People at the skate park that I was working at and everything, I had done hair on the side. People always just paid me just to come over and I cut their hair. I know you shouldn't do that. I will never ever do hair at home now. But anyways, I would do that on the side and I really loved it. And so when I went into beauty school, I was like, that's why that did that. That's why that did that. And I just constantly asked. And I also got a job in a salon while I was in beauty school. So I was in beauty school all day and then I went and was working in a salon. I would walk around and every stylist had their own technique and they were doing things differently. So I would ask them why. And then I'd go back to school and ask more why, you know, and compare it all down. So if I was the kind of student that if I had to do roller set, well, that was going to be Queen Elizabeth. That was going to be the lady that lived on a little house on the prairie. Right. You know, I made themes behind it to help it go faster. Yes. And then once I learned a haircut with scissors, nobody was showing me how to use this razor. So everyone else is going to lunch. I'm sitting there, I'm hacking away the same head we just cut with the shears. I'm like, I'm going to just do it the same way with the razor, and just did a lot of that and just asked why. And I knew I loved it. It just like clicked. But I did go to very smaller beauty schools, and a lot of times people want to go, well, I went here and I went there. It doesn't matter. Get your education, because what you do after school is what matters. That's where you're going to become the stylist and everything. You're just learning technique and the rules and yes. And then you become who you are after. And so I went to a cheaper beauty school here in Pensacola, Florida, and got out, worked at a salon, did really well, and then I moved to Orlando for a couple of years. But you know, when you leave an area and you have clientele and you leave them, you don't come back to an area and automatically those people are going to come back to you. You know, you broke up with them, you know. So came back here after being gone for several years. I had no clientele. I had nothing. And I came up here, and so everything I have this July will be 11 years. You know, it took me 11 years to have what I have, but I worked and worked and worked. And I was a commissioned stylist when I first got here, went back into the mall world, and then kind of opened my eyes to being an independent contractor and what that was like. And, you know, no one had really ever talked to me about that. I just thought commission was it and that's it. And I was just blown away with that side of it, because when I had moved away from this area, I had moved away to go teach at a higher end cosmetology school with my $5,000, you know, really cheap. I went where kids were paying $20,000 and I was teaching them with, you know, so that's why I'm saying it matters what you do after, you know. So I love teaching, and that was something that when I was still in school and all those questions of why, and I would ask all the other different stylists, I just love teaching. And my mentors just said, look, you're helping other stylists that have been in the industry for a while. You should really look into this teaching if that's what you want to do. And, you know, she supported me on that decision. And I really think that that was a great decision that I made, because it's almost like I went to college for hair. You know, by working in a beauty school, on the other side of just being a student after being in the real world, it just goes, they need more help. They need more help. And it just made my love for a beginner stylist even grow more. So even when I came back here and I was an independent contractor, anybody that was interested in hair, like, I was known at the school to go talk to her. She's very open and I'll let you come in and, you know, I know all the rules and regulations. I never once had broke any of those. You know, I'm not going to let somebody that's in beauty school come in and start applying color, any of those things like that. But they come in, they needed to ask all those why questions. And that's what I was looking for when I come in. Still, what I look for today when I'm looking for assistants is the ones that will show up, because I have an open door policy. Show up and ask why. Ask why about everything, you know, whether you come and work for me or not. I have an open door. I mean, I can't have, well, especially right now with the COVID, I can't have a whole bunch of people around, but you know, and I'll go into that in a little bit. Like, I've been in a private room. I've been in big settings, and still to this day, I am an independent contractor myself in my little 5x5 area that I have set up. That's, it's 6x6 now, but it was 5x5 is what I had originally set them all up for. You know, I like being out in the open, being independent, to bounce ideas. I want to have learning, you know, I want someone over there to understand why we're doing what we're doing over here. Or, you know, Kathy across the way from me is doing something I've never seen before. I'm like, ooh, Kathy, tell me what you're doing, you know? So going into that kind of, do you prefer the open concept salon then, so you can see the other techniques that other people are doing versus when you were just in a private room? I like the open just because I enjoy seeing what other people are doing, or because you'll learn, like Kathy might have went and took some class that I didn't get to go take. Right. And she's coming back and I'm learning and she's showing. And it's really cool at our salons because Kathy will go, ooh, come over here and see what I'm doing. And then I run over there and then it's like, Nicole, come see what Kathy did. And we're all congratulating each other and showing each other techniques constantly. Mm-hmm. And when you are in a private room, which I have been, right. It's not the same. And I've had clients become friends even because they're in the same room, mm-hmm. And more than anything, I love being able to book people that I know have the same kind of lifestyle and things in common, because they'll become friends and stuff. Yeah. And it's just really, really neat. Or someone will look, I want to come next time mm-hmm. You don't get that in a private room setting, and
there's been several times I've gone into your salon and it's all your clients that are lined up, all like your different phases of doing their processing and all that, but they're all chit-chatting away, and it's like they're catching up from the last time that they saw mm-hmm. each other. And so the interaction is
well, and it's like that. My clients all know every one of the girls in there, and they talk to them and love on them. And sometimes at Christmas, I've had them all just pass little goodie bags around to everybody, nice. Because we're just a big family. Yeah. Yes, we're independent, but we're a big family. And there's just so many things you don't get in a closed room. Mm-hmm. I see the advantages of a closed room if you're a stylist that's not a big talker, or, maybe, that kind of style is good for you. For me, I like open, just because. And then how about if there's a color correction going mm-hmm. on and something wasn't going the way it's supposed to, and you're in a room by yourself with the person and say, I know Kathy has that thing that I need to fix this.
Right.
If you leave the room, mm-hmm. the sheer terror on the eyes of where are they going? What's wrong? Why did they just leave?
It's not like you can just kind of nod to them across the room and say,
but I could go, hey, Kathy, do you have any of that stuff? Blah, 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 and Kathy will be like, yeah, girl, get it, and then I'm like, sweet. Yep. It's just different. Or if someone needs help, but you mm-hmm. want to kind of be nonchalant about it, if you're in a closed room, it's like you have to go in there and knock on the door. Hey, help! Can you come help me? And then all of a sudden,
look at this, and then don't make it obvious.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden, another strange person has entered the room. Where if we're all in open, we've all been talking. Yep. So if Kathy came over to me to help me out, because I gave her that, hey, mm-hmm. It won't look weird because Kathy's been talking to everybody, and I've been talking to but for me, that's what I prefer.
Awesome. Yeah, I like a smaller setting, but I've done the private area and stuff, and as much of an introvert that I am, I like
both of my
seeing
locations,
other people,
could fit more.
Yeah.
Like this one downtown here is actually set up for 8. Mm-hmm. That's why we have more shampoo bowls than we do employees. Yeah. And it's just because the more people, more issues, mm-hmm. and
the drama that comes with it.
Exactly. And so, even if I ever open more, or they will all be small like mm-hmm. this. I'm not one to just shove a whole bunch of people in there. Yeah. So yes, open environment, but small. But we do come together because, even the 2 locations I have, we're sister salons, brother salon. Yeah. So we, all talk, congregate mm-hmm. together, learn together.
Yeah, and when you've hosted classes, if you host it downtown, it's not just for your downtown, it's for the other salon to come mm-hmm. in too.
Yep.
And vice versa and stuff. So that's, now the 2 salons are different concepts as far as one is commission and one is booth rent. And the way that you bring in your assistants and all that stuff, mm-hmm. Your method of helping them grow is kind of unique from what I've seen other salon owners do. So
okay,
tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I have done commission, I've done booth rent, I've done all of those, and I come from where people have taken my money. I've had people take advantage of things, and that's how I ended up finding the booth rent world. And then once I got in there, I'm like, I can do this. They have told me for so long, no, well, it's going to cost this and it's going to do that. And I can see for some people who aren't good with paperwork and dividing it all up, it could be a downward spiral for sure. But also there wasn't a lot of places for stylists to go. I know for me, I was very fortunate that I got to work at Dillard's when they had the whole Rising Star program, and they had extra teaching when you got out of school, but there really wasn't anywhere for that. And for my love of teaching and everything, I teach my assistant. They work side by side. They have to be a license because I'm going to work. They're going to work just as hard as I am. And I teach them everything from how to do your taxes, the difference between a commission salon, a difference between booth renting. Yeah. What kind of person are you? Are you organized enough? And with me being a business owner and being my assistant, you see it all. You see me, like right now, I have one assistant go, I don't think I ever want a booth rent, because they see the struggle that I'm having with applying for help and all of this, where my commission based, it's been a lot easier, so it's sad because, I'm not even an employee of my downtown location. So guess what? Who didn't get a PPP check? Me, but also I don't hide anything. And that's the thing is I want stylists to come together because there is no secret. Everything has been done. There's techniques and things like that, but we all need to go stronger together, instead of it being a competition, just stronger together, I'm not real big about, for a long time I went by another handle. People didn't even really know what my real name was. And I kind of liked that, and then Facebook took that away from me and everybody knows my real name now. Yeah. But I just want to teach other people. That for me, that's my love of hair. I love making people feel good, but if I can teach hairdressers how to work smarter, not harder, and, you're not going to be a rock star when you first get out of beauty school, that it takes time and you need to write things down, it takes a long time to grow a color eye. And as you get older, that changes too. And you need to write things down and really, grasp everything and grow. And so when you're with me, I double book. So that way it's almost like you have a client and I have a client. And it's like that all day. And my clients know that, I use their head and teach off of. And what I first do when they first come in, it's all about timing, because nobody wants to get their hair done for 5 hours, they just don't. And so a lot of times I was noticing hairstylists struggling with their timing when they first get out, and you make less money that way. And so working with me, I'm going to keep you on your toes. We're going to time you. You're going to get your hands in there. You're going to formulate. I already know their formula. You're going to do a consultation. So if I do 10 people a day, that's 10 consultations that, my assistant is doing. And my clients have been doing this with me so long, they know their formula. So when I come back and the game is, hey, what's in the bowl? My clients already know what's in the bowl. And so they're telling me, and there's several ways to get the same look. So I know that. And so when I'm talking with the student as we're putting the color on and timing it and everything, I'm getting used to them talking while they're putting it on. And then I'm like, great, now that color's no good. Now what are you going to do? Yeah. Just keeping them on their toes, thinking about stuff. And then we move on, later. I really hone in on the color. And then we do work on haircuts. A lot of times I try to get them or help or take classes with them or Sally Rogerson and do her course because she is Vidal Sassoon trained. But the way she connects all the basic haircuts it just makes the student, when they first come out of school, the aha buttons go off, because they don't seem to understand that that's 3 of those basic haircuts to get that look. Right. And so a lot of times I let them go through those trainings, and I'll go through it again with them. I have been through Sally's teacher training thing. So that's what I kind of do with my staff when it comes to hair cutting. But when I teach them color, I don't teach them a color line. You know, I teach them the natural remaining pigments, what's going on, you know, understanding true color theory. Because once you understand the true color theory, it doesn't matter what color line. You'll be successful in any color line.
Pick up anything as long as you understand
anything, as long as you understand the basics. But a year in school going so fast, and color is only 1 semester. Right, yeah. And it goes through so quick, and it's just the right questions for state board. Mm-hmm. It's not real life hair salon, yeah. You know? So I just really try to do that. Well, after so long of growing and having Arrow Salon and Spa, I ran out of room, but I was training such really good hairdressers, and I'm not one to just push somebody out of the nest. And the way I did it is, after I let them free, you know, they booth rent, and then I would work with them and kind of, you know, till they were on their feet. But it literally, nobody ever has not been able to pay booth rent with me, you know, like ever. Like the minute that I let them go, they have done well enough, you know, and I'm there for them if they ever need it. But I outgrew my space, and I was still having really good hairdressers. And I also wanted to protect them from the world out there of what real, like, booth rent and, you know, what commission is, and, you know, how sometimes people put back bar on there and they don't realize how, you know, commission is. I'm a very open book. Everything with the staff at my commission base, just open book. You want to sit down? Like, this is what I, you know, like, it's commission, and we work together, and I'm, you know, working with them. But a lot of my assistants have came down here. Not everybody down at this location has been my assistant before, but they go through training, you know, and anybody, you know, that works for me, if they're having issues with something, they know that I will stop what I'm doing, come help them, anything, you know. Like I said, I just have never wanted to be that boss, like, okay, I'm going to take all of your money, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. No, like, right now, if we open back up, I have a stylist who's nervous about coming. And I was just like, when have I ever told you what hours and times that you had to work? I'm not going to do that. I just need to know if I need to save your chair. Yeah. And I want whoever's down here to grow, have a full clientele, and then move to booth rent so they can have all of their money. I'm just here as a back support so they can build their books, and they know how much money, and if they'll be able to pay their booth rent and all of those things as they go out. You know, I want this industry, I want people to do well.
Yeah. So that's one thing that I like about seeing, like, your stylist grow. I mean, even seeing, like, the commission stylist that was not your assistant. So, I mean, you still have them involved in education. You're still offering, like, whatever techniques, anything that you know could help them, or if they have a question on anything, and you're willing to help. So, which is awesome. It's not just you're on your own, make me money at the end of the day, like in the commission setting, you know. So I like the techniques that you go through, the trainings, all that. And it's like you're always wanting to do some type of education for them, you know. It's not necessarily just you doing it, but bringing education to.
No, I want all the people that have worked for me to want to become an educator. I'll tell you, when you're an educator, you become a lot stronger of a hairdresser. You know, you're more aware and like, confidence and just so many things. So I try to, when you are my assistant, one of the things when you go through them is like, are you okay with talking to people? Are you okay with doing this? Because sometimes when I'm teaching, I'm going to throw you out there. And that just I want to hear them talk about it. The more you talk about things, the more you understand it and you get better at it. And so I like, So say an assistant is about to leave me and graduate and they're training the new assistant. I don't train the new assistant.
Yeah.
The assistant that's leaving, that's their responsibility. They're training them. And why I do that is because I want to listen and make sure that they know what they're supposed to be doing when they leave. And no fail, they've all have done it just, perfectly.
Yeah, I mean, and I've watched you train like your assistants and everything. And like you said earlier, like you're teaching them how to do their taxes. You're teaching them how to do orders, I mean, when I was like working with TrueStar and like I was your sales rep, I mean, sometimes it wasn't you giving me the orders, it was your assistant because like they knew like what, like you had already gone through all that, but they knew what the process would be.
Well, I want people to understand what it's like to be an owner too, because
there's so many different aspects.
You have no idea. You have no idea.
So one thing that you do a lot of is have a very a sustainable salon, like in downtown, especially like your Green Circle Salon. You're, I think, the first one downtown, maybe first one in Pensacola altogether. And for those of you who don't know what Green Circle Salons is, almost everything in the salon, product-wise, like hair-wise, everything is like
recyclable.
So, I mean, and you have like your signage, all that stuff. We're very out and proud about that. What drew you into the sustainability aspects of that and want to kind of give back to the environment from this aspect of an industry?
I want to do this longer than the guy that's at the barbershop. I just want to do this forever. I don't ever want to stop. And if I'm not saving the earth or the chemicals, people don't realize like it's safe now to get your hair colored when you're pregnant.
Right.
Than it was back in the 60s because the chemicals are completely different. And because I want to do this so for a long time, the chemicals and what I put into the environment and all of that is very, very important. So I just want to, use the best product lines there are, offer the best products, but recycle everything. I can't just stop at using the best product, know? Yeah. If the company is sustainable and doing all of that and I'm not doing it within the salon,
it's just kind of the buck stops with you there. And so, I mean, even like with the hair,
it's fascinating that they make, rugs that, drainage rugs in the big cities, to catch oil and trash. Well, it's like we had the BP oil spill here several years ago and they used hair, like, to help clean that up, soak it up and everything. It also keeps deers away for anybody that have gardens. Yeah. And it's good for roses. Yeah. I think I upset my dad one day. I cut my mom's hair and like sent her home with the hair so she could use like for bird's nests and stuff. Like she put it out in the yard and all that stuff. And my dad was like, where did all this hair come from? It was like just all of a sudden like spread around the garden and stuff like that, No, but it's really neat that there's a use for that, and there's a company that does this for you. Yeah, that does it for you. Okay, another thing, downtown, we don't get a garbage can. You have to have a group garbage can, and sometimes it's broken, sometimes it's overflowed, and the price of what that was to what we do, and UPS comes and picks all of it up, and we charge a fee, but we charge the lowest fee possible. I don't want the client's money. Every single penny of that is going to the Green Circle, but they come and pick it all up and everything. I don't have to leave the salon. It's awesome. I mean, and your clients know what it's going towards. Yes, absolutely. They know about it. I mean, that's one thing as far as like, you're not just educating your stylists and your assistants, like you're educating your clients on why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, and that includes like the Green Circle aspect and the recycling. I mean, you have the bins to where like they see everything going on. So, I mean, they're involved. I mean, I don't think any of your clients would ever have an issue paying that fee to help do their part,
So I just have a random question. What's the most intense training that you've ever gone through, like as a stylist yourself?
A zero grad bob, believe it or not.
Okay.
And I tell my assistants I would never do this to somebody. But at one point when I was learning to perfect it and to dissect it, to say what was wrong with it and everything, my trainer would just, if it wasn't right, would pick the head up, drop it on the floor, and put a new one up. And I would have to do it again.
Start all over.
And at the time, I didn't understand why.
Right.
Why? And then after, I had to explain what was wrong with every one of the ones that weren't right. And that was very intense. I mean, it is, because I had no idea why he was doing that. Not right. And I'm like, come on, man, it's a zero grad. It doesn't look bad at all, you know? And I mean, it's a straight across haircut. Come on. Like,
Now, I mean, you think it's simple, you know?
Well, and it's just, not, you know? And now, and it's funny because now when I do it, you know, even if I already know that there's like a weird hair tag or something, I'll have my assistant. I'm like, hey, come here, look, you know, and I, you know, will check myself with it and show them like, this is what I'm looking for. And then I'll tell them about the crazy training that I went through with that. But
so, you've been in this 11 years now. You've been a salon owner for how many years?
No, that's what I mean. That's how long I've had this. 11 years I've been back. Like,
how long have you been behind the chair?
I want to say almost 20 years. I'm like, almost. I think it's like 18, almost 19, something like that. Almost 2 decades.
So you've seen a lot of changes.
Yes, perms are always coming back from the very beginning.
Yep. So one thing we were talking about earlier today, like way before this, was techniques and how you learn a technique, but then you make it your own. And like no one can really tell you that you're doing a technique wrong.
Right.
You could be, like, in all actuality, but you make it your own. What would you say a technique is that you learned years ago that maybe is coming back now, like that you see a different aspect to it? Like I know perms, I used to, it was just a basic perm. Now there's so many different aspects to it. What is something that you've seen come back through in a different way that you kind of maybe
baby lights. They used to be micro
Yeah.
foiling, you know, and it's the same thing where people wanted them packed and packed and packed to almost look like you were a solid blonde.
Right.
And it's come back around, but now baby lights, you know, or maybe just spread further apart because instead of you know, so that is kind. And perms are coming back. They are, or people wearing their curly hair. That has come back. You know, because curly hair was in, and then it went to the board straight, where you see the speckles on the hair where the people were over flat ironing. That would drive me crazy. But, and then now to, you know, curls are coming back. You know, people are embracing them or trying to find a way that they can, boys. I've had 2 people ask me if I could perm their boys' hair.
Yeah. I saw someone on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, but it was right before the COVID, but they had shared, I think he was probably 16, like he was still in school. And the inspiration pic was like, it was a Justin Timberlake perm, like not the ramen noodle one, but like when it started to kind of be trendy. But I mean, he was in high school getting a perm. I mean, something that you just wouldn't necessarily think you'd be seeing. But, I mean, not judging anyone on there, but I don't think I'd want a perm if I had that hair, you know, but there's different ways to do it and different curl patterns now that you can actually control with that. So what was your motivator to go into booth rent from your commission aspect? Like what was the straw that broke the camel's back to just go and do it?
Money, I guess, you know, and I was also, you know, told there would be more people working with me, and it was just still me. I still, like, in the environment that I was at, I was just kind of by myself anyways, and I miss teaching, and, you know, just wanting to talk percentages because I was getting a really, really low unfair percentage, and that is not what I had told in the beginning. And there was no like working it out, like,
right.
And so I was just like heartbroken, and went and did it. Just kind of, I didn't really have much of a choice, and and there isn't at the time. I didn't want to go back where I started. It's really weird because of Arrow's motto, but back then, I just didn't want to go back to where I'd started at Dillard's. I just didn't want to do that. I was leaving the mall, and there was more out there, and I went into a private room, and it was neat because I would float from room to room at the salon that I was at, but it still just didn't. I wanted some other people in there, I just feed off of bouncing ideas off of people. You're stronger in numbers than you are.
So you went from commission, which was not the best aspect for you. I think some people are all about it.
No, at that particular location, it just.
No, I know the location. Yeah,
it just wasn't.
All that stuff is not what you. Yeah.
Right, and it wasn't what I had come from the world of Dillard's, and then when I had went down at South and I worked at school, so I got salary, but then I worked at a salon as well, and I taught, and the commission was, better, and it was supposed to be the same type of structure and everything, but it wasn't, and so I was just heartbroken, and I just start up, and it was really, really hard because my twins were like 3 when I first came back, and almost 4. And I had 2 little ones, and just trying to, my friend lent me money, and my now husband lent me money to booth rent. It was really scary because it was just like, oh my gosh, I borrowed money from 2 people I care about dearly. This has to work.
Yeah.
Like, this has to work. And I went to a color line I wasn't crazy about, but it was something I was familiar with. And I knew that my background in color was pretty good from teaching and everything else. Is like, I'll just make it work, and I did that for a long time, and I just worked hard. It was right when they first started gallery nights and stuff down here. I literally asked my friends to come with me and let me style their hair on the streets, and there was like a little breakfast place down towards the end of Palafox by Garden, and I asked them, can I please just sit outside and use your plug? And they laughed, and they were like, we'll be closed, so go ahead.
Yeah.
And they let me set up, and I handed out cards, and back then my prices were so cheap. Yeah. But I made these little cards, and I stood outside, and I styled my friends' hairs on the streets, and hand out these $20 off cards. I made them like that they were, and I didn't charge enough, but at the same time, I moved away. I had a clientele here, and I moved away from them. And I couldn't just say, hey, come back to me. I had to rebuild all over. And then the place in the mall I left, those belong to the salon and the mall. So they said, and some people, I had a handful of people come with me, and I had a lot that didn't, and that's okay. And, but I built again, and I want to say it took about 3 years before I could say I'm doing this, and I could pay somebody else too, because otherwise it was just kind of like part-time. People would come in on the weekends and assist me, and I'd help them. I'd borrow somebody else's assistant. They would come and work with me on the weekends. There for a little bit, I did movies over in Mobile, Monday through Friday, and then my Saturday and Sunday, I was doing hair because I worked so hard to get those clients. And then I had this wonderful opportunity. Now I couldn't do that because I had too big of a clientele, but at that time I was still building and growing, and I was working on the movie sets, and then I would come in and do the clients on Saturday and Sunday. And the whole time the movies were being filmed, I didn't have a day off, I was accommodating everybody and everything, but at the same time, I'm a single mom. I had to make I had to pay people back. I had to do all of these things, but I was able to do that. And then, I moved to another location, and somebody, Kathy, I'm going to say her name. Yeah. Kathy was good friends with my husband, and I always watched Kathy's work online. And I asked my husband, and I said, do you think she would come and do hair with the style shoot that I was doing at, he goes, just ask her, because I knew that she was doing all these really cool retro hairstyles and stuff. So Kathy came, and then another friend of mine that I had started doing her hair at the mall, and she started beauty school. I asked her, I was like, hey, will you come and help me? Because, this was a big production, makeup, hair. I had on Etsy this guy and this girl send me, all these cool fascinators and leather face masks and all kinds of stuff. And we were shooting for these Etsy things just for trade, they send us these things, and it was just to get my name out there and do some really creative stuff that you don't get to do behind the chair all the time. But both the girls came, and it's neat because we all three worked together again. But at the end of that 13-hour day of doing all of these girls, I said, Kathy, please go back to hair school. If you go back to hair school, I got you, When she got out, I still wasn't right there. I couldn't have that full-time employee, but I said, meet the owner of the salon and I'll get you a job. And she was that owner's assistant. And then when her time ended with him was when my contract was up and I was moving to another location. And I had told Kathy, I said, come with me. Come on, I got your back. It was really scary for Kathy, and she really trusted me. And she came, and I said, look, if you can't pick, because we were in a room together, and it was a pretty decent sized room. I said, if you can't pay the rent, I'll pay it for you. And my husband's like, he's like, what did you just say? And I was just like, come on, she's your friend. It's just money anyways. And he was just like, oh no, And so, she went with me, and I never had to pay her rent. Never once did I ever have to pay her rent. And she's done really well. And now, she's an owner with me, and I couldn't imagine, not doing hair in the same room with her.
Right. So at what point did you decide, okay, you've done the commission aspect, you've done booth rent, and then you're opening up your salon? So
when I was at the place after I left the mall, I didn't like being in a room by myself. I really didn't like it. And I love working with other hairstylists and taking classes and everything. And I started looking way before my lease was up. And it's funny now because I look at buildings, and over time they have become hair salons, but it just wasn't the right place at the right time. And I'm grateful for the place that I went to. And I built an amazing team there. And it wasn't my salon. I never acted like it was my salon. I never ever told anybody that it was my salon because it wasn't mine, I'm, just was helping the other stylists grow in there and become stronger. And I don't ever look at another stylist as competition. I'm like, hey, you do hair, you're part of the family. That's how I look at it, And so, while I was there, I knew. And then even when I was at that place, I always talked about maybe one day I'll have my own. Maybe one day I'll have my own. And the owner had went to hair school, and there wasn't, it wasn't a big place, and there wasn't a lot of spots for everybody. And so it was just time, to go. And I left and opened my own, and now it's it. This Arrow Salon and Spa was the first one.
So there's a meaning behind the name.
Yeah, so you heard me talk about the whole going backwards. Yeah. I always, in my mind, was like, going backwards is a bad thing, And I always loved the arrows before arrows became a whole, clothes. Yes, I'm like, dang it, no. Yeah. I was before that trend. It just happened that I got a lot of really cool gifts after. But I actually had got a pair of leggings from England that were screen printed with an arrow going up and an arrow going down on them before the trend had even came. And I was just so devastated because I didn't know, what to do. There wasn't a lot of places, but I knew that my contract was up and I needed to do, something. And, Simi, who is the original owner with me at Arrow Salon and Spa, she came with me from one of the others when I told you I was building the team at it's hard not saying these names, but anyways, she came in and she said a quote to me, and the quote, I don't have it memorized perfectly, but it's sometimes you have to go backwards in life to be flung into something awesome. And, and so that's what Arrow means. It was something that I needed to hear at that moment, but it wasn't just for me. I think all of my team and everything, it meant something to them. But when she told me that, she didn't know what I was wearing because I was at the Magnolia sitting there waiting for her at a table. Simi didn't know what I had on at all. And then she said, it's a little quote. It's called Arrow. And sometimes you have to go back to be flung into something awesome. And I was just like, did you say that because of my pants? Just messing around. I still have those pants. But then the rest of the girls all met up with that night. And then the next thing I know, we got up from the table and someone said, Team Arrow. And I was like, I guess that's what the name's going to be. But that quote has made so many people's day. It was like, I can't tell you how many people take pictures of it and everything. They were like, I really needed to hear that. Yeah. So I love inspirational quotes because people do need to hear them. And like, even at my station, I have a few taped on my mirror and I'll change them out randomly. But
I mean, most inspirational quotes, like you don't realize that you needed to hear it until you heard it. And it's just like something like weighing on your shoulders or like in the back of your mind. And it's like something troubling you. And then you hear something and it's like, okay, it's gonna get better. It's
UPS people take a picture of that and be like, I love this. I'm going to send this to, to somebody. And I'm just like, oh, wow.
So, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want to share?
Just if you want this in this industry, you could do it. I mean, I know that in the beginning, being a single mom and not having anything, you can do it. Actually, in the beginning of my hair career, had just started, I ended up homeless and pregnant and all of these things. So, I had to take a back seat and I'm like, I'm already older, but don't give up. And in this industry, ask a lot of questions, ask why, learn as many techniques from different people and make it your own. That's what's neat. When you're a hairdresser, you're an artist. And when you're an artist, no one's going to tell you how you paint your painting. So, I know people that start from the back to the front, from the front to the back, as long as everything is colored in. Right. And you do it in a timely manner.
Don't take 2 hours to do it.
And it doesn't take the most expensive beauty school to make money. And, if you're in beauty school, find salons that'll open the doors and let you come in and ask. If you're in school, there's no reason that you can't go into a salon and ask questions. I have an open door policy. Come ask. That's who I want to work for me, is the ones that's coming in and asking. I don't care what question it is. Even my clients, I'm sometimes breaking down hair colors and hair cutting techniques because they don't get it until I show them the underlining pigment of something. That they're like, oh, I understand it. End up talking so much to my clients about it because I'm explaining it to a student. That's part of the reason it's on I got it tattooed because it's like, okay, here we go again. Let me talk basic color theory.
Look at the forearm. What does this? How would someone contact you on social media?
Mad Maxx Hair, 2 D's and 2 X's. Okay. And it's not mad like I'm mad. I'm like, I want to be Albert Einstein of hair. That's what it is, the big crazy hair and the glasses. I'm not like,
I mean, that's what you're kind of known for, is your glasses.
Yes, I know. And if I try not to wear them, everyone's all like, where's Maxine? Where's Max? I can't find her. here. I'm like, hey guys, I'm right here.
I mean, one thing, like, you and I have traveled, like, we've literally traveled the world together at this point, like, a few times. And it's like, you've introduced me to people, and one of the first things they say is like, oh yeah, I saw you over there because of your glasses, or, oh, I didn't see you because you're not wearing these glasses today. But it's always about the glasses, you know, so. But,
I've even had people buy me glasses because
Really?
they'll go across and they'll find really big, fun glasses,
Yeah.
and they're like, I know she'll wear them. I'm like, yeah, well, bring them on.
right? Yeah. So, I enjoyed sitting down with you today, and we're definitely going to sit down again, talk some more focused topics and stuff in
Yeah.
the future. And I will have your contact information in the bio on here. So if they do misspell Mad or Max, like, they can just click on the link and they'll be good. But yeah, so I appreciate your time and look forward
This was
to
fun.
the next time.
Yeah.
So, all right, thanks. All right, bye everybody.
Bye.